Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Romancing Our Stones. Thank you for listening on the podcast or watching us on YouTube now.
Multiple media platforms now.
Wow, we are diversifying faster than middle school fashion sense. I'm Matt.
I'm Alex.
And you're listening to Romancing Our Stones, the male survival guide to surviving media that your girl will drag you to. And it's kind of hard for me to blame this on a woman or a girl that I dated or has been married to or whatever it may be. This show I actually love. We are covering Married at First Sight, which is on Netflix now. Season 9.
Yeah, starts at season 9.
Starts at season 9. So it's the only available season on there right now. Based in
North Carolina.
Yep. This is their 9th season. And we'll give you a premise of the show. But first, before we do that, Alex, what are we drinking?
Today we are drinking Shake Chocolate Porter from Boulder Beer Co.
Ooh.
It looks like 5.9% ABV and velvety smooth with subtle coffee-like notes. This porter serves as a devilishly delicious dark chocolate finish. So cheers, buddy.
So cheers. Cheers to you at home, drinking along. Oh, that's good. It's so good. It's really good.
It does taste like a shake.
Tastes like a milkshake, and it's a bummer that this brewery actually went out of business.
Did they?
Yeah, they were purchased by a third party, and so they're making 4 of their beers, but there's no more Boulder Brewery
Oh, wow. I didn't know
anymore. Yeah. So.
Oh, how sad.
I know. I cried about it for a while, but I'm getting better now.
Was that a COVID thing or what?
No. Just before. It was just poorly managed company. But
A couple dudes like us probably managing a brewery.
you keep wanting to buy one. You presented me with one in Illinois. I guess it's for sale.
You said sold. I bought it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
We have a $2.5 million loan to pay, but we bought it.
Yeah, about that. I invested in the soundboard, so actually you invested in the soundboard. I still owe you money for that. But who's keeping count?
Who's keeping count?
Oh, yeah, you are. Okay.
2.5 for you, though.
So Married at First Sight is a reality TV show that used to be on a different
I feel like it'd be like on E or something.
It started off on a main channel, then got picked up by like Pogo or something like you've never heard of before.
Satellite cable nation.
Yeah, and now it's picked up by Netflix. It looks like essentially it's like this: 3 experts. One of them's name is Dr. Pepper,
Which can I just say is the best? Like the show won me over when I found out there was a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then there's Dr. Sprite and Mr. Pibb. As well.
He's the Bachelor.
Yeah. So, but they have a panel of experts. They have a sex and relationship expert. They have a pastor who's also a relationship specialist, and they have Dr. Pepper, who's a sociologist. And they essentially the people apply to be on the show, and they go through this testing and interview process to be potentially paired with someone that the experts deem would be a perfect match based on all the aspects of their personality, their life.
They basically go through like a shrink session with each and every one of them, and then those 3 will now come say, all right, who are our matches? Mm-hmm. Who is most compatible with who? And they just, from their experience, I don't think there's an algorithm or anything that's in place. It's just what do we feel is the best match?
And I think the first season had an algorithm.
Okay.
Probably why it's been the most successful season. But 9 seasons of this, 6 marriages and 4 children from the show. So actually, I can't say 9. This is season 9. There's been 8 seasons,
okay.
6 marriages, 4 kids, which is far heads and beyond better than any other show out there.
I mean, call it what? 6 marriages out of 8 seasons.
Yeah.
Out of how many
so
out of the Bachelor?
People. Yeah, so Bachelor's been 20 seasons, and there's been 5 marriages.
Okay. All right. Expecting a worse success rate, but okay.
Yeah, well, it depends on when the camera's rolling or not.
Yeah.
But, so I like the show because it's the most realistic. You're married. I've been married. It's the most realistic as to what a relationship will look like. It kind of strips the fantasy out of it. Mm-hmm. And then they also have help along the way, be it spiritual, sexual, emotional, whatever it may be, along the way to try and ensure the best success for the marriage. So I like the show. It's rift with drama.
I mean, I'm watching the first episode. You can't really tell any of that yet, but for me, because I know you've watched this show, so you have experience with, there'll be some drama coming up later. But
Yes.
First time watching it for me. I'm seeing everybody's coming into this conference hall at this hotel, and they're getting vetted, they're getting screened. I was really disappointed when the pastor said that there's no Idris Elba here, and I was like, why am I even watching this?
There's no Bradley Cooper. Hard pass from this guy. I'll tell you that much.
Then Dr. Pepper showed up. I'm like, okay, you got me. They hooked me back in with Dr. Pepper. So.
So we'll just wait till they add in Fanta.
Yeah.
One of the Fanta girls.
But they whittle it down to 50. And then from those 50, they do like house visits. They do, right? It's from that group of 50 that they do a little bit deeper dive. They kind of raid people's like closets and
like now being on the dating scene myself, it's something that I never really thought of. It never really crosses your mind walking into someone's home and looking through their things. Mm-hmm. Granted, you're not pulling the drawers back and like with like a
getting elbow deep in there.
White, but looking like, oh, are they neat? What's their style? How that plays into the conversation. I really enjoyed how they did that. And I mean, they said that they started with 59,000 applicants, which is wild.
Yeah.
Whittled it down to 200 finalists, in which they whittled down to 50 for the one-on-one interviews, and then even less to go to the houses.
Yeah. Which, can I also just say, from a societal perspective, I think it's fascinating that like marriages used to be, I mean, we don't have to go back 100 years and we'll find arranged marriages. Like my great-grandfather and my great-grandmother didn't meet until they got married. And yet it's been seen as like, oh, this is so unconventional. No, this is going back to convention. And yet, like you said, the number of applicants was just jaw-dropping, of people that were done trying to figure it out on their own and actually literally get match made with somebody. Which I find that really interesting, that there's that much of a demand for that.
And it's interesting to me too, is that people are like, I'm giving up. I just can't find anyone of value. And part of me also, my antenna goes off and it's like, well, what does that say about you?
Well, and also, it's a good thing I gave up because I found you.
On their vows.
Well, just like like you said, I'm giving up. It's like, so you gave up, and then this was your last option. Like I don't know.
I get
there's some connotation there. I don't know.
Could you imagine? It's like I want to go straight to a forever contract with a team, but because I'm done playing baseball.
Yeah.
But I just want to sign the contract. Like I'm done.
I just want to show up and have a team say, "I picked you."
Yeah. No, not even that. I want a general manager to pair me with another team. Like, you guys are merging teams for the rest of your life, because I'm done playing and practicing and doing all the things that make me ready to do this. Which, we'll talk about the individual people later, but you can tell by a lot of people and their questions, how they answer it, they're not ready for this next step. Mm-mm. In my opinion. What do I know?
You definitely get some signals.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think part of it because it's like like one of them, was it Deanna? Mm-hmm. She hadn't been in a relationship in 10 years.
Which is the biggest red flag of all.
Yes.
If you're 27, that means your last date was 17 years old.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good point.
I don't remember how old is she? Is she 27 or is she 30?
She might be 30, but even still 20. I mean, I actually didn't think about that concept because she's young.
Yeah.
But if you're dating somebody that's like, I haven't dated anybody in 10 years, I'm taking that relationship real slow.
Why? We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
But because there is a reaction to that actual comment, which I thought was an accurate reaction. But I mean, there's some people, guys, like, I have the ability to keep a boner for a long period of time.
Oh yeah, that one dude.
Like, yeah, I think the expert was just like, okay, thanks for coming.
I'm pretty sure it's like, if you definitely didn't want to be considered for this, that's what you should say.
I'm very tumescent. Is what I can keep a boner. And then like they did that thing again too, where it's there's Iris, and Iris is the 27-year-old virgin, and that's what they label her. What is it with these dating shows making a huge deal out of virginity? Mm-hmm. Is that just me that it bothers, or?
No. I mean, it bothers me as well. I think it goes completely against the narrative that we're used to hearing, that they're gonna make a big deal out of that. And it's an early point to start drama because she must be crazy or there must be something wrong if she's saving herself, right? Like that's because again that's the narrative. It's like no, when you get old enough, you go experiment, and that's what college is for, and all that crap that the media shoves in our faces, right? But like, I think it's admirable, and I think that her future husband would very much appreciate that.
I don't feel like it's a red flag.
I don't think so.
I mean, so what?
It shows a level of commitment.
Is that a deal breaker? I mean, a deal breaker to you? If I mean, it'd be like, okay, I respect that. And I would also, in this case myself, I'd be like, okay, well, even though we're married and technically it's, per our religion, it's okay now. It's like, I'm not doing anything until you are ready. If you're ready, anything like that.
That's a whole other thing to really take into the way they get married. It's like, we literally met this morning. Like, I don't want to do anything that you're not comfortable with. I don't want to do anything I'm not comfortable with. And like, which is cool, as we'll find out later. Like, they had that conversation. The guys even have that conversation.
I thought, yeah. And again, we're getting ahead of ourselves
yes.
because we've bulk watched episode 1, 2, and 3. But we're doing episode 1 right now, so we're going to try and keep that.
So we get introduced to all the, like you said, Iris. She gets labeled the 27-year-old virgin. Mm-hmm. Wow, she's waited so long.
Good. Oh my gosh. And the girl who hasn't dated for 10 years, like, they're just writing down their red flags as their name. It's like the tomboy.
The tomboy. The Mr. Picky or whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Picky, ex-basketball player. Like washed up athlete. I don't even remember what Greg's was, but they were asking some interesting questions, and that's kind of what I want to hone in with you, because during this process of elimination where they're trying to make matches for each other, I mean, they asked about religion. They asked about sexuality. They talked about turn-ons, turn-offs, all these different things. So it'd be interesting to get your point of view on some of these things. So I'm going to interview you.
Okay.
And Alex is married, so if you're listening, he's taken girls. But I mean,
bummer.
And also, I mean, is it fair to have a drop-dead no for something?
In what way?
And you're like pursuing a relationship and you're pursuing the person. I mean, is disqualifiers something that, are fair in most situations? So here's what I'm trying to say is that, they asked about race of the other partner, and the guy's like, I want him to look like me. Yeah. And it's like, is that that's not a fair disqualifier, I don't think, because but if you said they have to be X height as a girl, or they have to be this skinny if you're a guy searching a girl. I mean, at what level do people get in their own way with these disqualifiers? So I'm jumping around.
I get what you're saying though, and I think it's with the more physical stuff. I think it's like, again, like height, things like that. I'm like, I never look. I mean, I was always somebody that thought like, I don't care if she's 6 foot. Like, if I love being around her and she makes me a better person, like I was okay with that. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, okay. Like, people might look, or I might get a joke. And it's like, I don't like, honestly, for me, I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have cared. And I think in that same respect, I mean, you also have to, I don't know. I mean, I think for like, the guy that you were mentioning, like he was African American and he was like, I want somebody to look like me. Like, part of that might just be culture and upbringing. It'd be like, I think there is something to be said about like, I want somebody to understand me at a cultural level. Mm-hmm. Now, you can argue if a white person would do that. I don't know, because it's like,
well, the white person said it too. I know.
What culture do we have?
None.
It's like we're such a melting pot. It's we
fucking love mayonnaise. I don't know. What else do we have?
Exactly.
We say Taco Tuesday and we take Mexican food and claim it as our own.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
and we have Italian night and all of a sudden we're Italian, right? It's like, yeah. So anyways, I'm going off on a tangent there, but I think like there is a certain degree, I think, from more of a cultural aspect where it's like they need to understand me at my core at some point without having to just get to know me right away.
And I think that's a fair point. I guess what I'm struggling with too is that we talk about this a lot. We talk about Jamie from Listen to Your Heart. I know you haven't heard that name since we stopped recording the show, but
still getting PTSD.
Excuse me. PTSD. Yeah. Tell me about it. No, but she she said every boyfriend I've ever had cheated on me. And it's like the common denominator. We talk about the common denominator in relationships being you. And if you are failing at the rate that you're failing to apply for this show, how can you sit and say, these are my benchmarks? Because those benchmarks have caused you to fail over and over and over again. How can you sit there and say, in Elizabeth, for example, is going to be a terrible person in a relationship, not as a person, in a relationship. She's going to be a very bad person to be paired up with because she's had zero real world experience from the way that she talks and the way that she composes herself. This is the redheaded girl that works for her dad.
Yeah. When I watch her, I don't see that there's a whole lot of life experience behind her. I got that vibe too.
Yeah. And also, she wants a guy that she can get pedicures with.
And she wants a very metro guy.
And a very metro guy.
She mentioned that twice.
And she has a shirt. She has a sign by her bed that says, "I'm too tired to adult today."
I thought that was a bit fitting too. I'm like, okay.
I think anyone that uses the word adulting is not ready for a relationship.
It's funny. You sound like my mom. She literally had that. She's like, I saw this thing at the store the other day. And I was like, I'm not adulting today. I was like, what? And I was like, oh boy, here we go. All right, Mom.
I mean, you guys tell me on Twitter, is adulting a thing? Like, is that like a Peter Pan-esque aversion to responsibility?
Oh, it's Peter Pan syndrome for sure. I mean, think about it. We as a generation, like, call it Gen Xers and on, in terms of like more recent, we've grown up as like the most comfortable that any society has probably ever had it. Think about that. Like, we Gen Xers and beyond have not wanted for a damn thing. Like, we just haven't.
I don't know. Boomers have never been on like AOL chat rooms and the abuse you take in there. So I don't know. I don't know if they totally have had it so much better.
I'm saying we're the most distant we've ever been from a hunter-gatherer perspective as we've ever been.
Are you kidding me? Grubhub is literally like me hunting and gathering at the same time.
You're contracting a gatherer. You're hunting for a good deal.
Yeah, I'm hunting for bargains, man. I'm hunting for some nuggies, man.
You said nuggies.
But so I mean, what about you? I mean, you're obviously married. Maybe you can ask me. I'm dating around. Not around. If you're listening to this, I'm not. But I'm dating.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some things that are like hard stops for you? I'll go first. Smoking is a hard stop for me. Cigarettes, boom. Like, no interest in smoking cigarettes.
That's an unattractive quality for me too.
It's an attractive call. And then, like, I have pet peeves.
Sure.
Like people putting their feet on the dashboard or on the windshield.
Or their shoes on the bed.
Or shoes on the bed. Everyone that's on the Bachelor, Bachelorette, knock it off.
Sorry, I didn't include that one.
It's true. I forgot about that one. But I mean, what are some like? I
think for me, one of the things that I would always pay attention to when I was getting far enough along in a relationship was how she would speak to her parents.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That was something that always. I don't know. I mean, my parents. Maybe they did a good job, maybe they did a bad job, but like they put the fear of God in me early. But I was also like, I mean, I see the ways in which like I was raised, and I'm like, I respect the way that they parented, and I don't. I mean, I feel terrible if I ever talk down to my parents, and for me, I just, and again, that might be just because of my upbringing, but it never sits well with me when I hear somebody talk ill of their parents.
That's a good one. I think an interesting differentiation too, since we've both been married. I've been in a failed relationship, or failed marriage, so I kind of have a different perspective going into relationships this time around. But that's something that you don't think about when you're
young, and
you're young and you're trying to go for that. I think that another thing that people should be looking for is, how do people fight? How do they resolve issues? Are they do they simmer and burn? Do they explode and then expect things to be fine? How do they approach problems? How do they spend their finances? I think that's the biggest. Money issues is some of the biggest issues with relationships and marriages.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a stat out there about like the source of a lot of divorces comes from like finances definitely have a big weighting in it for sure.
And I mean, granted, I'd say I want them to have nice teeth, but you can also get braces.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's kind of interesting that, like everyone's very physically oriented.
Well, and what do we, I mean...
And attraction's important.
Yes, but plastic surgery, I think, has kind of delayed a lot of that, if not, in some cases, has made it worse. But, in a lot of cases, it's like you got people that they can just change their appearance. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, looks are still fleeting. You've got to inspect the heart. You got to inspect like who they are as a person.
Yeah, you're talking about plaque buildup?
Exactly.
Okay. That's why I just want to make sure I'm understanding you.
Yeah. But I think it's important that you got to find out who they are as a person. You got to figure out what's important to them, what makes them who they are, what drives them, what, for me and my wife, like one of the ways in which I knew like my wife was a keeper was like the way that we did argue. It was very conversational. Mm-hmm. And part of it is communication too. How do you guys just communicate, period? Because there was never, I have a firm belief that 99% of all arguments occur from miscommunication.
Yeah.
There's somebody thought one way, somebody thought the other, and they were acting based on those assumptions. And all of a sudden it deviates to a point where they just get upset with each other. And I think for my wife and I, one of the things that we always talk about, and there's been times where we've been upset with each other. And
I don't think you could ever be upset with your wife, to be honest with you. You probably fucked up somehow.
Well, that's like 99% of the time.
Okay. All right,
but there have been times where like, where we've both been upset at each other. And there's been times where, not biblically speaking per se, where it's like, you go to bed angry, right? But there's been times where it's like, I need to sleep on this actually. And having a sound mind to say like, look, like we're good, but I need to think about this. I mean, can we talk about this in the morning? Because I don't want to say, or I don't want to act in a way where it's not thought through. And I think composure has a lot to do with who a person is too. To understand that maybe they could say something rash, or maybe they could say something that's hurtful that they don't actually mean.
Yeah.
But emotions are flaring. It's controlling their emotions.
And I think the actual Bible verse is, don't let the sun set on your anger. Mm-hmm. I also want to add a caveat to that. Don't be still discussing it when the sun comes back up. So, I think there needs to be a lot. I think you're right. There's certain, but how do you in a survey figure out how someone fights?
No, I think that's their challenge. Is there's so little data that they have to run with, mm-hmm. that they're finding common threads that are foundational enough. I feel like mm-hmm. they're finding a couple. I bet you if maybe it's just between the three of them, if they each have two pillars that they're finding in each of their categories, like this guy's strong organizational, this guy's strong, he's a feeler.
Yeah.
And I think it's, you were talking about Elizabeth, and is it Greg? No,
she's with Jamie.
Yeah. Like that, we'll talk about in another episode. Like they're very much yin and yang. He's very low key and she's very high strung. And but it looks like for the most part, he's totally cool with that. And
yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's cool with that though. I think so? That, and I haven't seen anything, and that at the end of this episode they get matched. I think that their relationship will mirror the Hindenburg.
Okay.
Or Chernobyl, one of the two.
Okay.
And
a meltdown for the ages, either way.
Yeah, it's going to be a big explosion or a big meltdown. And the reason why I'm saying that without any knowledge more than what I know from episodes 1, 2, and 3, and that's just the matchmaking, the actual wedding, is her. And
that's the only red flag.
They make him be Mr. Picky, and I'm not saying that he's not without flaw. Mm-hmm. They're not going to get along.
Okay.
And I don't know why they thought this was a good match. This is the worst match possible.
It was a head scratcher for me too. I'm like I feel like, and not to take anything away from her at all, but just based on her personality, I feel like picking her to begin with was like, ooh, that's a bit okay. Yeah, that's risky. I thought that was more of a risky pick if you're going to pick one of the women, but
it's literally,
she must have shown enough qualities.
It's literally like picking someone wearing a unicorn T-shirt and fuzzy slippers to the interview when everyone else is dressed their best to be selected. Her selection is literally, it's a head scratcher for me. Maybe the producers have something to do with it, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
But something else I wanted to talk about too is that with modern dating, I loved the physical disdain and fatigue the experts had with people that are going to change, say they're going to change. And they talked about the guy named Raven,
I
who wasn't so Raven. But, you know, he's saying, I'm going to get things to raise this TV. I'm going to raise things off the floor. I'm going to make my bed. And they're kind of like, we can't pick someone that's going to, I'm a gonna. And I feel like so many men I'm talking to you are, I'm going to start doing this when I'm going to start doing this when. I don't think it's realistic. Conversely, with the girls, it's, you know, like, I'm going to get this out of my system. I'm going to change this, or I'm going to change this fundamental aspect of a person, and they're going to make it right. I think that's also, I like seeing their physical restraint and disdain for that.
Yeah. Cause especially with Raven, the cameras were in his room or in his apartment already. Yeah. They had to have known a visit was coming at some point. Maybe you're cleaning up at that point. Yeah. Because that's what Dr. Pepper was really kind of noticing, was that he was not organized at all. His life was a little bit in shambles, it looked like. You know, again, I think at the time they were looking at matching him up with Maitland, who was an organizer by profession.
I don't know why they didn't. So literally, I don't know why they didn't pair him with Maitland. If she
they were, but so they had to pick 4 couples, and they were the 5th. Because remember they had
Raven.
Pick,
that was weird too. Yeah,
they had to pick. They picked Greg and Amber.
I'm thinking Jamie. I'm like, why doesn't Jamie with Maitland? Like, they.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
That would have been. And Jamie had a very nice organized apartment. Or
I
house
think
or whatever
they get along fine. Yep. They both have businesses, and they both. I mean, but Raven and Maitland would have been a complete disaster. It's like some of these I'm looking at. I'm like, where are you going with this?
Yeah.
But
no, exactly. But I think it was, and unfortunately for Maitland, I think it was Raven's disorganization. And I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. That eliminated both of them from being in contention enough.
Yeah. So,
because Greg and Amber, there was the toss up between those two. Greg is the basketball player who's in Europe.
Matt is.
Oh, is Matt?
Matt's the basketball player.
So I keep saying Greg. Matt. Matt was the basketball player. Yes. So Matt was the basketball player. Amber was the 8th grade school teacher, and while Amber likes traveling, Matt's also been out of the country for like 18 months, you know? And so for them, they were kind of gambling on, like, is he going to just up and go? You know, if a team signs him, is he going to go? Or is he setting roots down? Like, that was his big
the mobile detailing unit that's coming. I mean, I had my I have my own red flags about him. I like Amber though. I like how she burst into a jumping jack when she was like,
I do find a couple things here and there in her reactions is a bit Jamie-esque, but I do like, if I had to choose between the two, I do like Amber. I think she's sweet.
And I think that, Iris, who's the 27-year-old virgin who has other qualities about her, but I just realized now they're pointing out the flaws in their nicknames for everybody, except for the mentor, who's Keith, who seems great so far. And
very level-headed.
I'm very impressed with him.
Yeah, very level-headed, very like... Yeah, he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders.
And then Greg... we'll talk about this next episode. Greg, in the first episode through the interview process, seemed like all things are great with him too, but he's a very awkward, introverted guy.
Yes.
Which you find out we'll talk about in the next episode. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds too.
Yeah.
Because...
with Greg and Deanna. And Deanna's a butterfly, social butterfly herself, you can tell. So yeah. So we'll have to see. But you know, that was the matchmaking episode. Can I just say too one thing before we wrap this up?
Oh yeah.
Every time they did like a little piece on every person, they always showed some scene of them sitting on the bed or sitting on a chair or in a chair reading. Do you notice that?
Oh yeah.
There was always a scene of them reading, and I'm like, all right, that's the, you know.
It's like,
I wonder if the production crew, they're like, you know, or the people are like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, oh, pick up a book, read it.
What you got on your nightstand? The places you will go. Okay, read that one.
Crack that baby open.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what else we got here.
Also a couple selection. We got Iris and Keith. We've got Elizabeth and Jamie.
Yep.
And we've got Deanna and Greg.
Yep.
And Amber and Matt. Those are our 4 couples. We'll be talking about them for the rest of the series here.
And there's a lot of episodes in this series, so we're probably going to bulk them into 2. So,
Yeah, I agree.
so for next episode, watch 2 and 3, which is the
2 and 3,
weddings.
which are basically the weddings, the bachelor parties, the bachelorette parties, and the weddings. So,
All right. So
stones.
like we do after every episode, we give a stones rating. We each have 2 stones to give.
Naturally.
And 2 stones means you like it, it's enjoyable. 0 stones mean an act of castration is preferable to watching a show like this. So, Alex, do you want the honor or do you want me to head first?
I'll start first.
Okay.
First time going through it. I'm game, but I wasn't like, jumping on the edge of my seat waiting for the next episode. I'll give it a solid stone.
Yeah.
But that's intro episodes anyways, right?
So I thought, as much as I love this show, I'm going to have to agree with you. It set the groundwork. It was nothing really moving the characters forward other than they explain the whole process of how this happened.
Yep. Which for any new viewer like myself is necessary.
Yeah.
It's just not. It
You feel like
wasn't
you have,
a very
you feel like
meaty
you have
episode.
not me. Yeah, where's it on the meaty scale?
0 is a
0 meaty.
It was a.
No, it can't be 0 if you have 1 stone.
It was a. All
Is
right.
this like a basket of fried chicken with not enough tenders?
I'm sorry. I would say fish and chips. It's fish and chips.
I'm overtaking the meaty scale. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna do
you
that.
are. It's fish and chips.
It's fish and chips. Okay.
Because it's fish.
Okay, so it's kind of meaty.
It's kind of a meat, but
technically.
is it? It's fish, right?
Okay. Yeah. All right. So 2 stones for the first episode. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe,
And just watch
and
on
just
YouTube.
watch on YouTube. This new outlet, you get to see what we look like. And let us know what you think. Hit us up on those on Twitter at ROStonesGuys or Instagram at ROStonesGuys or on YouTube at ROStonesGuys. And we look forward to coming and talking to you here soon.
Sounds good. Have
Alex,
a good one, guys.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Matthew.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.